So potential hazards is human injuries and fatalities. So train derailments can cause injuries and fatalities to train crew, passengers, and other in the vicinity of the accident. So as you saw with other train derailments, you don't even have to be on the train. As long as you're in a general area where an explosion can maybe hit you, you could still pretty easily die. Environmental damage. Train derailments can result in spills, like we've seen, of hazardous materials which can contaminate soil, waterways, and wildlife habitats. This can have a long-term ecological impact and it can harm human health. So essentially, this could dismantle a whole ecosystem if like that bad. And it could also cause cancer in the civilians that kind of reside in the area too, mainly through water and stuff like that. Another potential hazard is public safety risks. Train derailments can pose a risk of public safety if they occur in a densely populated area near critical infrastructure such as hospitals or schools. So luckily, you don't really ever hear of a train near a school or a hospital, and that's kind of a reason for that. But if they were in the general vicinity, then, and if it were to derail, it could be way worse. A study from the Federal Railroad Administration in 2015 goes to show that about 28.9% of train accidents are caused by human error. So a way that we can minimize this is definitely through better proper training, more extensive background checks, make sure that we really have someone who's responsible that we're dealing with here, because that is about almost 1/3 of total train errors. Equipment failure makes up a much smaller number of 13.1%. The way that we can deal with this is with those equipment kind of procedures and just making sure everything is right, making sure everything checks out. Of course, the highest tier is track failure. Now, the thing with track failure is that there's so many train tracks that it's kind of hard to kind of monitor all of them. Anything can really happen to these train tracks, or anything can happen to these train tracks as they're bound to the elements outside. Like if a tree were to fall on it, if water eventually kind of erode away at it, something like that really happened to these tracks. And that's why track failure makes up almost about 50%, because this is at 44.9% of train accidents. Track failure can also be caused by humans too, because it is not necessarily that hard to mess with train tracks. Now, these days, signaling failure is very small. Unlike what happened in Nashville, we have better equipment these days. So it doesn't even make up about 1%. It makes up a very small margin, which isn't even presented on the graph because that's how small it is. And other is about 11.6%. So what this can mean is like maybe like a heist or a robbery, something that kind of internal inside the train maybe. It could really just make up anything that could cause a train derailment.
Some alternatives for transportation. Pipeline transport. Pipelines are a safer alternative for transporting liquids and gases that are commonly transported by rail, such as crude oil and natural gas. While pipelines have their own set of environmental risks, they have a lower risk of catastrophic incidents like derailments. Trucks can be used to transport goods over short distances and to more remote locations as well. While they are not as efficient as rail transport, they offer more flexibility and have a lower risk of greater scale accidents.
Some of our transportation alternatives is water transport. So pretty much what this means is that barges and other vessels can transport goods over waterways, which can be cost effective and environmentally friendly to a certain degree for transporting goods over long distances. Now, the problem with this is that waterways are used pretty frequently, and if something were to happen where something like the Suez Canal or something was blocked, then that would set the world back a decent amount. Also, it's only decently environmentally free because the motor of the boat still kind of messes with the environment, and other sea creatures will kind of still be impacted by the boat's vessels kind of going through the water all the time. So it still can destabilize the environment, just not the ones that a train would. Improved train technology. So advantages in train technology such as better braking systems, improved track design, and stronger rail cars can reduce the risk of derailment and improve safety. So what this means is that advances in train technology, so like a better braking system would pretty much mean that a train kind of stays locked in place, or that if we saw something coming ahead, we'd be able to hit it in time, the brakes, and then the train would kind of stop faster than it can now. And that's very hard to do because, the train is chugging at a certain very high speed and it has a lot of mass too. So that's kind of makes it so hard to stop. Now, improved track design can help us with that track failure because, like I said, the elements can really mess with a track, just anything to do with the environment. Stronger rail cars too can also, because in a way, if they're stronger, they would still kind of probably derail, but less of a chance that they would kind of cave in or cave out and then let the hazardous chemicals inside spill out. Another way we can mitigate this is drones and autonomous vehicles. So drones and autonomous vehicles can be used for transportation of goods over short distances, especially in urban areas where there's a high demand and for fast and efficient delivery. So anything that's kind of not that heavy that could be transported fast, that would be good for drones, because drones don't really have much of an environmental impact. And a lot of drones would definitely get rid of a lot of the work all that trains have to do. And we've seen companies try to do this before, like Amazon, which we heard try to use drones. I don't know if they're still doing that or not. It doesn't really seem like they are, but it's definitely something to think about.
Future of trains, advanced propulsion systems. Many companies are exploring the use of alternative propulsion systems for trains, such as hydrogen fuel cells, battery electric, and hybrid systems. These systems have the potential to reduce emissions and improve energy efficiency. Increased automation. There is a growing trend towards automation in the transportation industry, and trains are no exception. Automation technologies such as self-driving trains can improve safety, reduce costs, and increase efficiency. Improved tracking infrastructure. Advances in track and infrastructure technology can improve the safety efficiency of train transportation. Examples of such include improvements in signaling and communication systems, improved track design, and increased use of sensors and data analytics.
So what the future of the trains hold is something that we call Hyperloop technology. So what this means is that Hyperloop technology is a proposed mode of transportation that uses vacuum-sealed tubes to transport the passengers and cargo at high speed. So it's essentially like a bullet train in a way. While it is still in the experimental phase, Hyperloop technology has the potential to revolutionize the transportation industry, including train transportation. So what this would pretty much mean is that we would kind of use vacuum-sealed tubes to really travel as fast as possible. Then we have intermodal transport. So intermodal transport refers to the use of multiple modes of transportation, such as trains, tracks, and ships. What's so great about intermodal transportation is that it can improve efficiency, reduce costs, and increase the speed of delivery. So it is all pretty much gains and net positives. That would decrease the risk of massive environmental damage, as well as ship things faster because it's less weight. Sustainable materials is also a massive thing. There's a growing focus on sustainability in the transportation industry, and this includes the use of sustainable materials in train construction. So, for example, the use of lightweight and recyclable materials can reduce energy consumption and emissions while improving efficiency and durability. So if we could kind of harness materials like these, we could see trains that require less workload but are way more efficient. And if they were to get damaged, we could somehow kind of siphon what is still able to be used so we don't lose that much material in a collision.
New developments late today on a second train derailment in Ohio in just over a month. Another Norfolk Southern train going off the tracks near a highway in Springfield Saturday evening. That's about 80 miles northeast of Cincinnati. Terrifying dashcam video capturing the moment the train derailed. Officials with Norfolk Southern say no hazardous materials were involved this time and no injuries have been reported. This drone video showing the aftermath, 28 of the train's 212 cars toppled off the tracks, including 4 tankers, which were empty. The crash knocked out power to more than 1,500 residents living nearby. All of this as the cleanup continues in East Palestine after that Norfolk Southern derailment in February. Toxic chemicals released into the air, soil, and water. Residents reporting symptoms of headaches, coughing, fatigue, and skin irritation. And tonight, what a new study indicates about higher than normal levels of a potentially hazardous chemical. ABC's Alex Brochet leading us off tonight from Ohio.
Tonight, new dashcam video shows the moment a Norfolk Southern train derailed in Springfield, Ohio, smashing into a pole, metal flying, cars careening off the tracks.
I hear a loud bang. Then once the cars started coming off and going sideways and collapsing on each other, it was just time to go.
Late today, authorities said 28 of the 212 cars derailed, including 4 empty tankers with residual amounts of diesel exhaust fluid and common industrial products. But they say no hazardous materials during Saturday night's accident spilled.
Looking at the data coming in from Hazmat and from the Ohio EPA, we're looking at clean air, clean soil, and clean water for our residents.
On This Week, Ohio Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown says he's not satisfied with the rail company's response.
This train was over 200 cars, which is 50 more cars than the East Palestine train. So the railroad's got a lot of questions they've got to answer, and they really haven't done it very well yet.
It's the state's third train derailment this year, including that massive toxic spill in East Palestine, where new results of independent air testing by Carnegie Mellon and Texas A&M universities indicate elevated levels of acrolein, which can cause skin, respiratory, and mucous membrane irritation.
Our data and EPA's data show that there's need for further follow-up to make sure that concentrations of various pollutants, including acrolein, are going down to a level where they would be sort of not potentially harmful to people's health.
The Ohio Department of Public Health says the most common symptoms people are reporting are headaches, followed by anxiety, coughing, fatigue, and skin irritation.
We ended up having to go to the hospital because my chest was hurting so bad that I was kind of getting like heart scared.
Mounting frustration in that community. Alex Brochet joining us now from Springfield. And Alex, you've now covered both of these train derailments, and there are some key differences you're noticing between the two scenes.
The biggest difference is smell. We were about 1.5 miles from that derailment in East Palestine, and there was still a very strong smell of chemicals. Here, it's nothing like that. And something else to note tonight, there are no injuries reported in this derailment. Its cause is still under investigation.
Alex Brochet for us. Thank you.
So one of the ways that you can help is we have a GoFundMe linked, and this pretty much goes directly back to the citizens of East Palestine, Ohio. Now, this GoFundMe is a little more outdated because this did happen almost a year ago. We're talking about probably about 10 months or so. Any donation will still be greatly appreciated and very helpful to the community. And then our other one is the Way Station, which does directly work with the citizens of East Palestine, Ohio as well. It's more based in East Palestine, Ohio, while GoFundMe is kind of for anybody to post whatever they want. The Way Station does specifically work with the East Palestine crisis, and that's what makes this one so special to us.